The blue slip tradition has been in place since 1918, has evolved over the years, as you can imagine. Chuck Grassley, the 90-plus-year-old...
98-year-old
senator from Iowa, did away with using blue slips for nominees to circuit courts. So, there it is. It's been going around. But Trump says he doesn't like the process and wants it taken away. He says that it's unconstitutional. And let's see here. He's been complaining about the blue slip process for weeks and is pushing Chuck Grassley to abandon the practice. But Grassley has said, nope, I'm not going to do that. He said that Trump can sue the Senate, but he is only going to end up with weak judges approved in states that have at least one Democratic senator. He told the press that even if... how do you put that? Republicans are noting that judges who don't receive approval from their home state senators through a blue slip, that they don't even have the votes anyway to get through for confirmation. So Tillis has come out saying, no, we're keeping the blue slip process. Grassley wants to keep it. Other Republicans, enough of them anyway, are saying that they want to keep the blue slip process as well.
What's interesting about that is, why would you... Trump might not think he needs these senators, but I think he's going to need them at some point. And he's done nothing but alienate and be his usual bully. And I think an awful lot of them have, voted against him here or there. But there's a cadre of a half a dozen senators who could very well reach a point where he's gone so far off the rails and is such a detriment to this country that they will form a coalition against him. I think I'm disappointed that Tillis is such a coward, but if Grassley or whoever is unhappy enough, and he's this is what bullies do, right? Somebody eventually says, all right, enough. And that's what this guy has played his whole life. He's played against the fact that that's going to happen.
I don't want to overextend it, because Majority Leader Thune has said that they're going to look at ways to stop Democrats from... the senator from North Dakota is saying that they're going to look for ways to stop Democrats from blocking things and slowing down the judgeship process. All the things that they use, to slow down everything during the Obama. That was my combination of Biden and Obama.
Wow.
The Obama and Biden administrations.
Yeah.
Right. So speaking of the federal government, This Crib Book Saved My Life, which Jim and I host, and Jim also executive produces, has a new episode that came out today. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to flag it for folks because the guest is Tim John Semmerling, who we had here on The Gailey Show a few months ago. Mm-hmm. And the book that Tim John is sharing that saved his life is The Deviance War, The Homosexual versus the United States of America. And in that book, the author, Eric Cervini, tells the story of Frank Kameny. Frank was an astronomer. I've written about him in the Queer in the Cosmos essay series, also here on The Gailey Show. He was an astronomer. And President Eisenhower in the 50s issued an executive order banning all LGBTQ people from the federal service, which led to a series of witch hunts and investigations by the federal government into its own employees. And Frank Kameny was caught up on that. He was accused, and he was fired from his job. He was the one that sent the first lawsuit argued it all the way up to the U.S. Supreme Court. First one that considered anti-gay discrimination in hiring. He lost that case. Does all this sound familiar? Anyway, Tim John was working in the federal government, and he was also fired for being gay, not related to a Trump executive order, but was pushed out he was working in Guantanamo Bay over mitigation. So was working with people who were charged with a crime and they were convicted, and then there's a whole process called mitigation. You can learn more about it. It's not a legal jargon episode, but it was just really fascinating how he was pushed out and his fight against the federal government for what they did to him, and then locating it. He's like, this helped me in my personal struggle of how to fight against the system and learning what Frank did so many decades ago. Mm-hmm. But also, now as we're locating ourselves within this larger fight with fascism and the Trump administration. It's a really great episode. I encourage you to find This Queer Book Saved My Life everywhere that you get your podcasts, or at thisqueerbook.com. In the meantime, thanks everyone for listening and or watching. Up next on WCPT 820 is Chew's Views with Richard Chew. On AM 950 Radio, it's the Matt McNeil Show. Stay tuned after that for Native Roots Radio. And then at 10 p.m. Central, Step Into the Unknown with Greg Bakken on Ghost Box Radio. Until tomorrow, keep it queer, America.
Keep it queer.
These are real stories of speech-language pathologists and the people they helped. He was in his 30s.
55 and far from home.
15 years old with multiple disabilities.
It was a traumatic brain injury.
He's bilingual but lost his English after the stroke.
Several surgeries led to his swallowing disorder.
His goal was to get back to work.
I used French during therapy.
Others almost gave up on the goal of him eating.
Oh, he was dedicated.
Together, we built his life back.
Social interaction was the key to helping him.
And he made it back to work.
When he ate, his friends cheered.
Everyone has the right to communicate.
And later, he was able to travel across the world to his family.
Are you or someone you know experiencing a speech, language, or swallowing disorder? An ASHA-certified speech-language pathologist can help. Visit us at asha.org/public.
When facts matter, you turn to WCPT 820, Chicago's progressive talk.
A fair balance where the facts come out.
Real news, real talk.
AP News, I'm Marcela Sanchez. India faces a major challenge as steep U.S. tariffs on Indian products are taking effect. AP correspondent Charles de Ledesma has more.
Steep U.S. tariffs take effect on a range of Indian products on Wednesday, a move that threatens over half of India's exports to its largest market, the U.S. The Indian government estimates the tariffs will impact $48.2 billion worth of exports. In Agra, leather footwear exporter Purandawa tells the AP the 50% tariff is absolutely a shock.
That's definitely a shock to the industry. Okay, this tariff is not going to burden us. They are going to burden their own customers, own consumers.
Dawa adds exporters are looking at other markets to help cushion the blow.
We are looking at the Russian market, South America also. It's a huge market.
The economic friction highlights the fragile trade ties between the two allies. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
Denmark's foreign minister summoned the top U.S. diplomat in the country for talks. This came after Denmark's main national broadcaster reported that at least 3 people with connections to President Trump have been carrying out covert influence operations in Greenland. Trump has repeatedly said he seeks U.S. jurisdiction over Greenland. And the Israeli military says its double strike on a hospital in Gaza targeted what it believed was a Hamas surveillance camera. The first strike killed a cameraman from the Reuters news agency. 20 people were killed in Monday's attack. The military did not immediately explain why it struck twice, or why it asserted that 6 of the dead were militants. And shares were mixed today in Asia. U.S. futures were little change as investors wait for an earnings update from computer chip giant NVIDIA that will come out after trading ends today in New York. This is AP News. AP correspondent Ben Thomas reports the latest SpaceX Starship demo went well.
A successful launch of SpaceX's mega rocket Starship from the company's launch site in South Texas Tuesday evening.
Startup. Stage separation.
It deployed a test payload for the first time, 8 dummy satellites.
Engine cut off.
Spent about an hour coasting through space.
Successful ship engine cut off.
Then splashed down in the Indian Ocean as planned.
They're on that same trajectory towards the Indian Ocean.
It was the 10th demo test for the world's biggest and most powerful rocket. It also included the successful return of the craft's booster, which splashed down in the Atlantic. SpaceX hopes to use Starship for future Moon and Mars missions. I'm Ben Thomas.
Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce are engaged. The superstar singer and football player made the announcement together on Instagram. I'm Marcela Sanchez, AP News.
This is 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and streaming worldwide at WCPT820.com. We are Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter. Now, your WCPT 820 weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. We'll see increasing cloud cover here for today with a high in the upper 70s. West winds around 5 to 10 miles per hour, gusting as high as 15. Then for tonight, a slight chance for some showers and thunderstorms here late. Mostly cloudy skies with a low near 61. By Thursday, a slight chance for showers and thunderstorms. Mostly cloudy skies, high 77 degrees. That's your latest Chicago weather update.
Currently, it's 57. Allstate's new home insurance is now better than ever. We're making getting the right home insurance that's right for you super easy with our improved online quoting tool. It explains how each coverage option works for you without the headache. Yep, you can start protecting your home in a matter of minutes. So check Allstate first for home insurance that's better than ever. You're in good hands with Allstate.
Savings vary. Coverage subject to terms, qualifications, and availability. Allstate North American Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
This is WCPT 820, where facts matter.
Welcome to Choose Views with Richard Chew. Get ready to dive into a world of insightful conversations and thought-provoking discussions.
As progressives, our job is to have an all-inclusive, full-on assault with all of our players.
A show that focuses on moving our political, social, economic, gender, and cultural conversation forward.
And all of our players means all of our players.
It's Choose Views. And now, here's your host, Richard Chew.
Good Wednesday morning, progressives. Henry and I are in here in heaven. We're yucking it up, guys. Chins up and shoulders back. It's time to fight. That's part of my words from the beginning of the show going forward. Chins up and shoulders back. It's time to fight, guys. It's been time to fight for a while. However, that's my reminder, and it's going to be part of my reminder as we go forward. That being said, welcome to the August 27th, 2025 edition of Choose Views, 773-763-9278. Find my show on Facebook Live, TuneIn Radio, YouTube. Email me, of course, at richard@WCPT820.com. Follow me on X, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, Blue Sky, Threads, and Substack. And thanks for all the new subscribers that have hit my Substack. I know I got a couple of posts that'll hopefully hit by the time we get to the end of the week. So there you go. And make sure you catch all of our shows by subscribing to our WCPT podcast on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Getting the cameras squared away here. There you can get Choose Views, featured interviews, Joan Esposito, live, local, and progressive. Driving It Home with Miss Patty Vasquez. The Big Picture with Edwin Eisendrath. Edwin really gets it done on Saturdays, y'all. I mean, he comes in here and knocks it out for 3 straight hours. So make sure you're checking out Edwin on the weekends. And shout out to Edwin. And, of course, Out Chicago and our other shows and interviews. Make your way over to the wonderful place to hang out, also known as heartlandsignal.com. That is our digital platform, and it's a place where you can go and grab information and share. We say it every day because I know that some days you may not be tuned in and you're like, what did he talk about today? What did he have to say? What did Richard rant about today? Oh, let me go over to heartlandsignal.com because there might be some stuff over there that I can share. So make sure you make your way over there. And to that end, man, oh man, Daniel Hawkins, a Republican from the Kansas House, gets after. Well, let's just put it this way. He's talking about again how they're bragging that ALEC, the American Legislative Exchange Council, in terms of targeting Medicaid, looking to slash another $200 million from the state budget, just like they've done on the federal level, and he's proud of it. So check that out. It's a great piece there, great clip on X. And, of course, just the once again strength of our Democratic bench and our elected officials, Governor Pritzker giving it to Trump, and Senator Tammy Duckworth doing the same, talking about it's just another sad, desperate attempt by a small man to distract the American people from what? The Epstein files. So make your way over to Heartland Signal to check out some of our posts that we have there. On today's show, our guest in the 7 o'clock hour will be retired fighter pilot and host of Truth in a Barrel podcast, Amy McGrath, will be with us at 7 o'clock. And then our good friend Kurt Mullett will be with us at 7:30 from Hoosier Blue 63. And he and I will chat up a couple of funny things that we both just laughed at. One, I think one you guys will appreciate. But anyhow, Kurt and I'll be together at 7:30, and Amy and I'll be together at 7 o'clock. But right now, check this out, progressives.
Would an additional 5,000 cops on the streets in Chicago help complement those programs to make Chicago safer?
Look, we are working hard to make sure that our police department is fully supported. I don't believe that just simply putting out an arbitrary number around police officers is the answer. What I'm saying is policing and affordable housing. It's policing and mental and behavioral health care services. It's policing and youth employment. It's a full package. Of course, we want to make sure that our police department is fully supported. That's why I've invested in our Detectives Bureau, because what we have seen in the city of Chicago, when we solve crime, it acts and serves as a deterrent. It's policing and all of the other efforts that we're doing. Here's the last thing that I'll say to that. The federal government could work stronger to coordinate with my police department to get guns off the streets of Chicago. We've seen these coordination efforts work. Just a couple of weeks ago, the ATF working with my police department, we removed over 150 guns off the streets of Chicago that were trafficked in through Mississippi and Indiana. No one is saying that police officers don't play an incredible role in driving safety. They play an absolute pivotal role in that. But we have asked law enforcement to do too much. Police officers are being asked to be social workers, counselors. What I'm simply saying is, if we're going to build safe and affordable cities across America, the one thing that safe communities all have in common, they invest in people. We have a poverty issue in the city of Chicago and cities across America. Police officers alone will not put food on the table. Police officers alone will not guarantee a high quality education. Police officers alone won't drive down unemployment. We need all of it. The President of the United States of America and the federal government could restore Medicaid. They could restore SNAP. They could stop defunding our public education system. Here's the most important point here. Justice Brandeis, over 100 years ago, the first Jewish American to sit on the Supreme Court, he said that we could either have a democracy or wealth in the hands of the concentrated few. He said, but we cannot have both. We are fighting for our democracy and our humanity right now. This president's nescience of the Constitution will leave irrevocable harm on posterity. That's why, as mayor of the city of Chicago, we are standing up to tyranny, and American cities across this country are doing the same.
In case you guys don't know what the word nescience means, and I'm laughing because the word nescience means lack of knowledge or understanding, or some might just be very bold and brazen and say just ignorance. And so in case that flew under the radar or over some of our heads, that's what the word is. I'm not going to lie. When I heard this clip and saw this clip, I had to look it up. I'm not going to lie, because I was like, okay, this is what I'm going to say about Mayor Johnson. And I'm going to say this about all the mayors of color in blue cities and leaders of blue states like Governor Pritzker, Newsom, Moore, Polis. I always miss somebody. Hochul. The list goes on. There's some smart people. They sat in class. They listened. They paid attention, and that ticks off the right. That they are smart. They're intelligent. They're cogent in their message, and they deliver it in a way that is consumable. And Mayor Johnson is listen. I've said this before, and I know I've got my detractors that want to beat up on me, Henry, about being a supporter of Mayor Johnson. I'm a supporter of him succeeding. I want him to succeed as I do. I want Governor Pritzker to succeed. I want all of our blue leaders to succeed, because our ideas are better. I've said it before. I'm going to say it again. If that ruffles some feathers for some people, then go get plucked and get some new ones. Okay? But the one thing that things that I disagree with the mayor on, but the one that I don't disagree with him on is standing up for the city when there's a bully that's trying to come in and take our stuff and cause further harm. Lieutenant Governor Stratton, same thing. She's looking for the black women that Trump said black. And see, that's the part that's why he's such a racist. He's such a bullified, uneducated racist. Why has it got to be the black women? You know, that comment he made the other day about the black women they're begging me to. No, they're not. Stop lying, punk. They're not begging you to come to the city of Chicago. They're begging, if anything, they're begging for better government across the board for safety for all of our children and our families. But there's black women out there begging Donald Trump to bring his you-know-what to Chicago. And I'm glad a black woman stepped up and said it. But the problem is, why do you have to go there? Black women are begging me to come to Chicago. Okay. So I guess that means the white women aren't? That says something even more, if you want to put it that way, if you want to go there, Donald Trump. But Mayor Johnson is not to be messed with. And he has the intellectual capacity to deliver a message. You could see, Henry, how Joe and Willie Geist were trying to kind of wrap up, but Mayor Johnson he's cut from a different cloth when it comes to that. He knows his stuff. And part of the reason that a lot of people don't like what Mayor Johnson is doing in terms of what he said about making sure that children have things to do, our teenagers have, the people who supposedly are the smart people in the room that say, take care of the kids and let's protect our kids and let's make sure, all of those people, whether they be Republicans or Democrats. You know, last week, Dr. Schultz talked about the book, Everybody Hates White Liberals, and even including white liberals. Okay, he said it best. But the problem with this, in this conversation, in this moment, is that when we have people who don't understand the importance of taking care of our children, but they run around talking about the importance, like yesterday, Stacey Davis Gates talked about, no more. We're not settling for this anymore. That's when people get their undies in a bundle, and I'm not having it either. Mayor Johnson is doing what he's got to do to stand in the void to protect the citizens from this monster, this racist, uneducated fool in the White House and his regime. He's a racist bully. Those are not words that I take or say lightly, because his actions are dictating that. That's the truth. We're going to take a break, guys. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT AM 820 in Chicago and WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu. We'll be right back.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-200-1966. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-200-1966. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-200-1966. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-200-1966 or biglou.com.
This is WCPT 820, where facts matter.
Welcome back to Choose Views with Richard Chu.
All right, y'all, we're back. Oh, man, the phones have lit up. So this is what I'm going to put out here this morning, and then we're going to hit you with a couple of Choose Views news. If you are a black woman in the city of Chicago, I would like to hear from you this morning. Don't be afraid. I got you. I'm going to let you talk. I will do my best not to interrupt you. But if you're a black woman in the city, anywhere in the country, let me not just frame it to Chicago, anywhere in the country, but specifically in Chicago, pick up the phone and call. Because I'd like to hear why. I want to know why in the heck you were begging Donald Trump to come into Chicago. Harry looked at me like, man, don't go there. But I do. I want to hear from black women this morning, and I want to hear some white women too, about begging Donald Trump, that whole conversation. So let's have that conversation for those of you who want to call in. But in the meantime, let's bring you up to speed on a couple of Choose Views news items on this August 27th, 2025. The legal battles are brewing at the Fed firing right now with regard to Reserve Governor Lisa Cook. She's going to sue over her removal from the board. Thank God she's going to do that. President Donald Trump, announced a day earlier that he would remove Cook from her position, citing allegations of mortgage fraud. Talk about the pot calling the kettle black. This is a dude that I had a couple good sips of coffee, so I'm off to the races this morning. The move is likely to invite legal challenges, although the president has the authority to dismiss a Federal Reserve governor for cause. They're going to make some stuff up. Cook would be the first sitting governor to be removed by a president. Isn't that crazy? First, they're going to find some garbage to tie this up in court, knowing that they've got the resources to just sit there and drag it out. Another Trump strategy that he uses, willfully and wrongly on American people. Whew. U.S. mulls a stake in defense companies. I told y'all this was coming, and it's a dangerous, slippery slope. State-owned companies like defense do not need to be no. The U.S. could acquire stakes in defense contractors such as Lockheed Martin, according to Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick. His comments came just a day after suggestions the U.S. may form a sovereign wealth fund, which Lutnick denied on Tuesday. Yeah, okay. Once again, we don't know about Project 2025. We're going to deny that we're going to create a sovereign wealth fund. Where did he get that? Where did the White House get that idea from? From the Saudis. Live Golf Tour. Dig into that a little bit. The government recently took a 10% stake in struggling chip maker Intel as a few steps towards federal government involvement with private companies. Lutnick said he anticipates the U.S. starting a national and economic security fund using proceeds from trade deals. So, see, we told you that money wasn't going to go back to the consumers. So they're going to, boy, oh boy. Eli Lilly is moving closer toward its goal of offering GLP-1 medication for diabetes and weight management in pill form. The drug maker said yesterday that this program will help patients lose an average of nearly 23 pounds at 72 weeks when taken daily at the highest dose. Though the data suggests this program is less effective than injectable counterparts, an oral option would be easier to manufacture and likely increase global access to the treatment. The late-stage trial clears the way for Lilly to file for regulatory approvals of the drug. And if it gets approved, I think that's a good thing. If it's a way for folks to be able to effectively lose weight, then I can appreciate that and be behind it. So kudos to them for continuing to find an easier way. All right, the pace of AI is overwhelming workers. What does that mean? When it comes to navigating change at work, professionals say advice from real-life connections in their professional networks is better than any tool in the age of AI. In fact, nearly half of those surveyed liken keeping up with AI to having a second job. And 40% say the rapid pace of AI development is affecting their well-being. Conversations about navigating these changes has spiked 111% in the U.S. this year, with Gen Z workers feeling the most pressure as the workplace landscape is shifting. And U.S. is seeking the end to foreign tech taxes. The U.S. is warning nations that tax or regulated American tech companies could be in a position to retaliate with tariffs and other measures if restrictions are not eliminated. Donald Trump made the threat on social media, promising substantial penalties, including export restrictions on U.S. chips on countries with digital service taxes. This move would help tech giants like Google and Meta, which would have which have been subject to scrutiny overseas. Similar threats have already convinced Canada to back down from its own proposed digital tax. I say keep it up. Orders for business equipment did jump slightly. U.S. companies plunged ahead with investments last month, pushing orders up for business equipment. The value of core capital goods jumped more than expected, 1.1% in July, after a revised 0.6% drop in June, the Commerce Department said yesterday. Now, I've got a little bit of concern about that and those numbers being accurate, particularly given that they're changing around the leaders and the heads of those departments to make numbers look good for Trump. And here's why. The shift may mark an end to uncertainty over tariffs from earlier this year, but orders are likely to slow again as companies wait for new tax provisions to kick in next year. Meanwhile, consumer confidence declined amid growing anxiety about the job market. So that's why I wonder how real those numbers are. All right, a couple of quick items from Choose Views News this morning. Here's one for you. We're going to cover some current events in the 6:30 hour that you guys will want to pay attention to. I'll bring them to you when we get back from that break. But here's one for you. My wife shared this with me last night, and so I had to take a quick peek into getting a little bit more information. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail, but I've never really been one to rest my hat in a Cracker Barrel. I've gone, I ain't gonna lie, been to a few, particularly visiting family that may live in southern states where they're more prominent. And that's a place that they've gone, and that's, one of their regular spots. So, I won't pretend like I've never been in one. And the food's okay. That's nothing special. It's just okay. I think the experience of the general store is probably what a lot of people, end up spending probably more money there than they do on the food. So I didn't really care one way or the other about the logo. I wasn't offended by the old farmer or the old dude leaning on the Cracker Barrel or anything like that. It didn't move me one way or the other. So my comments next are not about me having any care about the logo one way or the other. In fact, when it first was announced, I kind of went, okay, whatever. They're going to change their logo. However, now that they've punked out, Henry and I are going to, on our road trip across America, we are not going to Cracker Barrel. If I'm starting to steer the car off at the exit to go to a Cracker Barrel, Henry's going to hit the steering wheel and say, hey, man, give me the wheel if we're going to Cracker Barrel. He's going to pull a Samuel L. Jackson on me. Because they punked out. That's the reason now. So, and they did it from pressure about a logo. But here's the thing. I mean, how many people that, like me, that didn't really care about it now look at it and say, okay, so I'm definitely not going because of the fact that you punked out. Do you guys hear me? I was like, okay, cool. The businesses have been successful. They obviously serve a need for people in certain communities. Kudos to them. Ain't got nothing wrong with that, period. It's not my cup of tea on a regular basis. And if there were one right here in the city of Chicago, it wouldn't be a place that I would be going. Okay. That being said, and I don't want to get into all the other isms about what it represents and the word cracker and all that. I'm not going down that path. I'm going to say that and I'll move on. It's just not my cup of tea. I don't roll into Starbucks all the time because it's just not what I do. But Cracker Barrel punks out and changes their logo back because of pressure they say it was from their customers. But when I read through the articles that have been posted since it happened, it's really because of Donald Trump. And that is absolutely disgusting. When I see that, I think y'all should just be out of business. If you're gonna bend the knee because this dude's got an issue with it, then you should not even be in business. You're not worthy of the customers that do come to your place. Because a lot of the people that go to Cracker Barrels are progressives. Because the family members that I know that go are progressives. But now this place has punked out. I'm the same way with Chick-fil-A. Because I know where they sit politically and socially. I'm not going to spend my money there. Now I know where Cracker Barrel sits. I didn't necessarily, and maybe a lot of us, frankly, didn't know before. But now we do. And see, this is where we have power, you guys. We could let sort of this thing slip by, and maybe some would say, hey, Chew, we don't need to talk about this. And I'm not going to disagree with you flat out. But I will say this. We now know where Cracker Barrel stands. And so now we have a reason to say, I'm not going. If it's about you managing your dollars and about you controlling your dollars and speaking with your dollars, now's the time to say, you know what? Because you guys punked out, I'm definitely not coming through. Prior to, you may have been neutral, but you tipped your hand. So now it's blatantly obvious, Henry, where they stand. So if we were rolling down the highway and we needed to take a break and get off the road and grab a bite to eat, and I started to turn the wheel in toward Cracker Barrel, and Henry grabs it and says, "No, Chew, we're not going to Cracker Barrel." That's what's up. So there you go. We're going to take a quick break, guys. You're listening to Chew's Views on WCPT AM 820 in Chicago and WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chew. We'll be right back.
This is a WCPT 820 Heartland Signal News Minute.
As we head back to school this season, we found in our research that school supplies are 7% more expensive this year than they were last year.
That's economist Elizabeth Pancotti of Groundwork Collaborative, speaking to WCPT's Richard Chew. Earlier this month, Groundwork Collaborative and the Century Foundation released a new analysis showing that American families will pay up to 40% more on essential school supplies this year. And
we find that school lunches will be about $160 more expensive to pack this year as a result of higher prices under Donald Trump. And so, I think as we head into midterm elections and others, it is really a place for people to make their voices heard on the economy. And I think that could be a real inflection point in the president's second term.
For WCPT 820 and Heartland Signal, I'm Andy Miles.
You're listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. We'll see increasing cloud cover here for today with a high in the upper 70s. West winds around 5 to 10 miles per hour, gusting as high as 15. Then for tonight, a slight chance for some showers and thunderstorms here late. Mostly cloudy skies with a low near 61. By Thursday, a slight chance for showers and thunderstorms. Mostly cloudy skies, high 77 degrees. That's your latest Chicago weather update.
Currently, it's 57.
You're listening to WCPT 820 because facts matter.
Welcome back to Chew's Views with Richard Chew.
Hey guys, welcome back to Chew's Views. I'm going to go through a couple of texts with you that I got this morning since we got things heated up. I'm just going to be very quick in getting through this. No, you're wrong. About someone says, yeah, let the National Guard come through Chicago. I'm missing the point. That's not what they would be there for. No, you're wrong. The National Guard in Chicago would be a disaster. So I apologize for being so blatantly in your face about it. But Mayor Johnson is not ignoring the problem. You're absolutely wrong. You don't live here. And so, like the gentleman said earlier in the week, curb your enthusiasm on that. The National Guard will not make a difference on violent crime. It'll increase stress and problems in the city, period. Hard stop on that. So you're wrong. I very, very seldom are matter of fact like that, but no, you're wrong. Now, this is a good one, Henry. This is a person just, I love this, guys. I like to read these every now and again. Once someone says, I don't understand I have to change the wording a little bit because I can't say certain language about Cracker Barrel. I understand the history of Cracker Barrel. I understand the history of that's where the whips were kept. But I have to be careful about how I say it in the context of what their reasoning was. So listen sometimes before you just hit the keyboard and start becoming a keyboard warrior. I have to be careful about how I say that. Just like laughing barrels. I understand what laughing barrels were about in the South. So so I don't know if this person is whatever, or if it's a troll, it doesn't matter. I have to be mindful and respectful to how I say certain things based on the knowledge that I have and how it will be perceived that I was accusing Cracker Barrel of something based on a data point that may not be public. So that's how I'll be very adept in how I say that. So you're wrong. A lot of folks a lot of folks are wrong this morning. Just flat out wrong. So sorry, but not sorry. All right, let's see who else we got here. Trump is the disaster. Let's see. 815 says, when do you think is the last time Trump went to a Cracker Barrel? Great point. All right, let's see what else we got. Let's see. Oh, there's a person that sent us some information about that one black woman that that's running around a MAGA hat in D.C. in one of his lackeys. Okay, yeah. Hate to say it that way, but truth is truth. Yeah, okay. That's there we go. All right, just wanted to get and shout out to our Teamster friend Brett for his text to us this morning as well. Yeah, he talks about how about dealing with the illegal guns. Good point, Brett. Good point. That have come here, like the mayor said. All right, so let's go to Pam this morning. And hey, good morning, Pam. Welcome to the show. I'm a little salty this morning, but how are you doing today?
Good morning. I understand, and I share that salt with you. So know that. I share the salt. So I'm a black woman, right?
Yeah.
Live in a community that has its issues in Chicago with crime. And I could use stronger words, but I'm just going to say no to the adjudicated sexual abuser and no to National Guards coming here. Now, Richard, I find it interesting. Couldn't gather up nerve to send the National Guard to protect the Capitol when it was under siege, right?
Mm-hmm.
Didn't bother to do that. And I just want his supporters to note that. Couldn't muster up any energy or any commands to protect the Capitol.
Mm-hmm.
But now you want to just send them all over the country in black communities that are led by black mayors, elected officials.
Mm-hmm.
Let me be clear. Full disclosure, I supported Mayor Johnson. And I went out there and worked in almost 0-degree weather, knocking on doors to make sure that he got elected because I didn't want Paul Vallis.
Yeah.
And I want a specific kind of leadership. So to you all, Mayor Johnson is a compassionate person who will operate out of humanity, analyze policies, and is always looking for best practices. What is working? Having police descend on a city, particularly in black communities or led by black elected officials, is not a proven best practice.
There you go.
Do you hear what I'm saying, Richard?
Say that again, Pam. Say that. Please say that again.
Let me repeat that Mayor Johnson is a person who will analyze policy, analyze best practices. He's rooted in community work. He lives in the Austin community, which has issues with crime. So there are proven best practices that work. Crime is on the decline in Chicago.
Yep.
And we just need people who are not familiar in the suburbs or elsewhere to understand that. And yes, Richard, you will find two black people. You know what the news crew do. They summon up two black women wearing the red and white,
demon hat.
Yes. To say, oh, yeah, well, we need them here and we support the adjudicated sexual abusers. That is not the sentiment of the majority. So please believe that. And we need those who ally with us to understand what is going on. You have a bully and a racist and a person who absolutely hates black people.
Yeah, I think.
If you don't.
Go ahead, Pam. I'm sorry.
And I'm saying, if you don't understand that, then that's problematic because it's so evident in everything that he does. And the criminality that I'm worried about, Richard, is that the criminality that's coming out of the White House.
Yeah, me too. I mean, listen, And we're here in Chicago, so we're in the target line. We are in the sights, and we have been for a while. And it's a necessary evil for white Republican GOP MAGA politicians to come after Chicago. They have to come after black communities or where there's a strong black leadership, not perfect leadership, but strong black leadership. And they need to do it. They need to do that so that their base has red meat. They need to do that so that many of their white racist bully donors can say that we're going to take over those black-led or liberal-led or LGBTQ-led communities. That's what it's all about. I know sometimes there are people that follow this show that say that I don't speak enough to issues of race. I speak to them and as I need to speak to them based on what's going on in real time. And right now, to your point, Pam, Donald Trump, the 34-time convicted felon, an adjudicated rapist, and adjudicated sexual offender. Sorry.
Sexual abuse. Yes.
Thank you, thank you, Pam. And all the rest. I mean, what about the $25,000 for the fraud with the charity and all these other things that people voted for and lied to themselves about? Kamala wasn't ready. Kamala wasn't this. Kamala wasn't that. At the end of the day, look what you got. So the people that are here, even the people that are here in Chicago, let's just play this out. The people that are here in Chicago that voted for Donald Trump, now what you're about to get is what you really know you don't need. Because here's the thing. Governor Pritzker said this yesterday or day before. So now having federal troops on the streets of the city of Chicago, and I asked this question on Monday, where? But let's just say that they're on major thoroughfares, Lakeshore Drive, Michigan Avenue, State Street, King Drive, Milwaukee Avenue, all the rest, for those of you who don't know Chicago. That's going to impact people getting to and from work, getting to and from picking up their children. So in many ways, if they are going to be in those quote-unquote zip-coded neighborhoods in the city of Chicago, it's probably going to be white liberals in the city of Chicago that get ticked off because they can't go pick up Johnny and Sarah from soccer practice that are going to make the loudest noise to get them removed. Yeah, I went there. I went there because that's the kind of thing that people don't want to talk about. They get fearful. They get clutching their pearls. But at the end of the day, Chicago doesn't need the national. No American city. We're not under threat of emergency right now. None. Even a red city doesn't need those resources wasted that way. It's stupid.
And then when you go straight to the source, ask the people who are doing the work on crime prevention. I'm talking about those in the street. The young man from my hood, my city,
my
and my
block. Right. Yeah, Jamal Cole.
Yes. Ask the people who are doing the work and in the midst of it. They know what we need. This is not it. And I'm going to say this last thing about Harris. You know what? For those of you who don't think she was correct and she was right. She was ready and she was right and she was decent. Yep. And now you have someone who's been also in the Oval Office accused multiple times of rape. So we can say that. He has multiple women who have accused him. And lastly, his best friend was a child rapist who raped 13 and 14-year-olds and sex trafficked at least 100 that we know of.
That's right.
And for those of you who are okay with that, God help you. Because there is something wrong.
Yep. Pam, always good to hear from you. Thank you, Pam, for calling. Yeah, I mean, she nails it, guys. I mean, it's sorry. There is a black woman that follows our show and follows our station that said it most plainly. There are others out there. I'm getting text messages from those who are saying similar things, or at least addressing the issue. I received a text that I want to address this. I understand that referring to Donald Trump as stupid may not be everybody's cup of tea, but when he does something stupid, it gets noted. It's stupid. And he is uninformed. And going back to Mayor Johnson's use of the word nescience, he's terribly that way. And the what's the word I want to use? The fact that this bringing the National Guard to Chicago or any other metropolitan city, we know it's not based on the data or crime statistics, because if it were and they actually looked at them, they would look at them and go, yeah, numbers are down. We shouldn't spend our resources there. So to that person, I get what you're saying. I use stupid because he acts stupid, and others in his administration and regime are acting that way. And I recognize that the dominant emotion coming from Trump is hate, or emotions are hate and jealousy and bigotry. I get all of that. That's why I leaned in hard on the fact that that's what this is all about. So don't think that I don't get it. I fully get it. I do. Trust me when I say that. It is right to call the actions of someone stupid or uninformed or ill-informed. If it's appropriate, we use it that way. And the people who are fearful, or let me put it this way, who are concerned about how this will heighten bad energy, not even bad policing, but just create additional stress in the city of Chicago, they're right to feel that way. They're absolutely right to feel that is going to be the outcome of the National Guard being on the streets of the city of Chicago. There have been times when it was necessary because there were some very critically important things that were going on, even most recently during COVID, or not COVID necessarily, but during the George Floyd murder and the trial that was subsequent to that. There was a need to calm the temperature. 1968 with the Vietnam during the convention and during the height of the Vietnam political train wreck. That was a different time though. But to Pam's point, I think that we are. We have to be willing to say these things and say them without fear of how people are going to judge us for calling out what we think is inappropriate use of resources. This is a stupid idea. It's ill-informed. It is bigoted. It is racist. It's all of those. And I am fearful. I am concerned about using military on the streets of any city in America when there is not an emergency, whether it be a weather-related emergency or some health crisis that blows up. And I will do my best for those who want perfection in how I say things to clean it up rhetorically and make sure I say it in ways that threads the needle every time. But it's not going to happen that way. I'm going to mess up every now and again, and I will clean up on aisle 7 for those who need it to be perfect. That being said, we're going to take a perfect break right now. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT AM 820 in Chicago, WARR AM and 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu. We'll be right back.
Chronic migraine is 15 or more headache days a month, each lasting 4 hours or more.
Botox, onabotulinum toxin A, prevents headaches in adults with chronic migraine before they start. It's not for those with 14 or fewer headache days a month. It prevents on average 8 to 9 headache days a month versus 6 to 7 for placebo.
Prescription Botox is injected by your doctor. Effects of Botox may spread hours to weeks after injection, causing serious symptoms. Alert your doctor right away, as difficulty swallowing, speaking, breathing, eye problems, or muscle weakness can be signs of a life-threatening condition. Patients with these conditions before injection are at highest risk. Side effects may include allergic reactions, neck and injection site pain, fatigue, and headache. Allergic reactions can include rash, welts, asthma symptoms, and dizziness. Don't receive Botox if there's a skin infection. Tell your doctor your medical history, muscle or nerve conditions, including ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease, myasthenia gravis, or Lambert-Eaton syndrome, and medications, including botulinum toxins, as these may increase the risk of serious side effects.
Why wait? Ask your doctor, visit BotoxChronicMigraine.com, or call 1-800-44-BOTOX to learn more.
Alexa, play WCPT.
WCPT from TuneIn.
Welcome back to Choose Views with Richard Chu.
All right, guys, we are back. Oh, Pam was fun. She's always fun because she allows She doesn't allow this craziness to get in the way of her speaking her truth. And speaking of truth, today on Live Local and Progressives, John St. Augustine will be in for Joan Esposito, and his guests include AI expert Dawn Christie, Peter Tiernan, author of the novel Once in Chicago, Dan Mason, former president and CEO of CBS Radio, country music performer John Barry, and Chicago radio and television personality Jen Weigel. Live Local and Progressive weekdays 2 to 5, Central WCPT, Chicago's Progressive Talk for 20 years. Wednesday, Driving It Home, Patty Vasquez will be joined by co-host Dwayne Kennedy, and their guest will be Colin Allred, the former congressman who is currently running for U.S. Senate, and in Texas against Republicans John Cornyn and Ken Paxton. Maybe Paxton and Cornyn will go after each other enough where Colin Allred can get that Senate seat, because we need it. The car guy, Tom Appel, host of the Consumer Guide Car Stuff podcast, Driving It Home with Patty Vasquez, weekdays 5 to 7, WCPT AM 820, Heartland Signal website, TuneIn, YouTube, and Facebook. Tomorrow's show, Aaron Reed, journalist and transgender rights activist, will be with us. And we'll be opening up the calls, as always, to chat with you guys about anything that's on your mind. And I'll ask that big question again. And then Friday, you'll be joined by comedian and activist Cliff Cash and Karen Byrne, the co-host of True Blue Politics podcast. And what are we on, guys? We're on the Credo mobile phone and text line, 773-763-9278. And WCPT listeners now get 25% off for 2 years at Credo Mobile with the code WCPT25. Credo Mobile, a progressive phone company that is better for all people and the planet. So visit credomobile.com. Okay. We're going to stay on this conversation about this whole National Guard coming into Chicago and or into other cities. So we have another clip that I think you guys will appreciate from Mayor Johnson on MSNBC.
What would a productive relationship with the Trump administration look like if they were serious about fighting crime in the streets of Chicago? What could they offer you that would be helpful?
Yeah, it's an excellent question. First of all, he could start by restoring the over $800 million that was taken away from violence prevention efforts back in April. Look, when I first became mayor of the city of Chicago, I made multiple requests to the previous administration to invest in violence prevention. That request remains. But these are also requests that I know that are being made in Baltimore by Brandon Scott, who's doing an incredible job. Barbara Lee in Oakland, who's doing an amazing job. Karen Bass in Los Angeles. Many mayors across this country. Randall Woodfin in Birmingham, Alabama. You are seeing declines that we have not seen in a generation. In fact, just the month of April this year, 2025, it was the safest April since 1962. Our work is working. This president and the federal government has a responsibility to ensure that cities have the resources that they need in order to continue to drive violence down across this country.
That's right. And so anyone that wants to play this game that driving crime down is not, the statistics are not there. And I know some people are going to say, well, he's not looking at the statistics. I know that. That doesn't mean that the statistics don't exist just because he's not looking at them. That would be kind of, for me to not say that would be kind of counter to the reality that the statistics are there. They're there. We know they're not looking at them. So we know it's built off of racism. We know it's built off of the need to bully. We know that it's built off of this need to see a city with brown people have the National Guard there, have somebody act up, the National Guard overreacts, and then Trump will say, now we're going to declare martial law. I get all that. I sometimes wonder what people actually listen to in their own heads. I get all of that. And the number one reason I get is because I pay attention and common sense. But I also get it because I'm a black dude in America. Okay? We don't need the National Guard here. We need increased opportunities for people who don't have opportunities in different communities throughout this country, as Mayor Johnson said. That's a fact, y'all. So let's stop lying to ourselves about it. I get sick and tired of people that want to lie about the fact that we have poverty, we have homelessness, we have issues where people are living just above they're living paycheck to paycheck, if not paycheck behind paycheck. That's the problem. When we look at crime, people are going to survive. They got to do what they got to do to survive. I don't see them sending the National Guard down to places in southern states where we've got opioid problems. Okay? So we know why it's happening. We know what the goal and the objective is. And we know that Trump is jealous of strong black leadership. Look at the people that he's firing from the federal government. So for anybody that listens to our shows that thinks that me or Patty or Joan or others don't get it, for my man Scott Duff and I chatted about this briefly a few months ago. We get it, the attacks on our community from Scott from out Chicago. We get it. Those that are not, that don't think because every word that we say isn't perfectly lined up with the way in which you want to hear it, that doesn't mean we don't get it. We get it, but we have to be mindful of the fact that we want to bring as much attention to these things, and it's going to come out that, it's not going to come out, it's already out, that this dude is a racist bully. And sexist. I don't want women out there to think that I missed that one. He's a racist, sexist bully. Period. Look at his history, and I don't mean 10 years ago, 10 days ago. You don't have to look very far. So where do we go with all this? What did I say earlier? Chins up, shoulders back, we have to fight. Mayor Johnson is fighting. Governor Pritzker's fighting. Governor Newsom's fighting. Governor Hochul's fighting. And the list goes on. Blue state governors and leaders that, whether they be black or of color, Mayor Wu in Boston, Asian woman, she's chins up, shoulders back and fighting. That's what we all have to do. It's not rocket science, guys. You know, and please understand this. Rather than get upset with, how we're saying something, maybe spend that time getting involved with an organization that needs your help. You know what I mean? Rather than that, get involved with an organization that needs your help, rather than getting upset that we don't thread the needle with saying certain things exactly the right way at the right moment. Spend that energy there. Listen to our shows. Help us. That's why I always say thank you for your contribution when someone calls in. But, spend some of your energy fighting against the problems that exist out there and providing support to organizations that need your energy, that need your financial support and all the rest, rather than just finding reasons to criticize those of us that are on this team. My mother used to say something that I can't repeat on the air, but you can probably imagine that it's a little salty when it comes to that. And so, I'm not trying to get after anybody, but sometimes you guys have to understand that the work that we're trying to do is to bring our community together and keep our community together. And I am sure as heck not going to be silent on this issue around the troops, about the National Guard in any city in America. Blue city, red city, or purple city. Not going to be that way, because at the end of the day, yes, it's racism, it's sexism, it's bullying, it's all of those things. It's a test to see what the weak points are in terms of how we can try to how Trump can try to institute martial law. All of that's on the table. We know that. But the other part of it is it's just a flat out waste of resources. And you need to call, rather than getting upset with the Democrats who are trying to do something, or us progressives that are trying to do something, get upset with the Republicans who keep voting for and supporting this garbage. Get upset with them. Get in their backside about it. Pick up the phone and call a Republican congressperson or senator and yell at them about the fact that they are not doing what they should be doing based on what the powers that have been given to them from the Constitution require that they do. Get after them. Stop getting after those who are on your side trying to fix some problems. And I go here every now and again because I go back to what Professor Kevin Schultz said in his book last week about white liberals. And I'll say this in maybe more broadly speaking, liberals, not general. I don't want to say a general statement. But his points are well taken. Get after those people. The ones that you keep wondering, how come I keep feeling this stabbing in my side? It ain't us. It's those folks. It's the Republicans on a state level and on a national level and business people like the punks at Cracker Barrel that bent the knee. Get after them, guys. It'll make you feel better. But it takes some guts to get after the person that is your opponent. It takes some guts to go after them. It's easy to come after the people that are on your side because you think they're going to just take it. Go after the other ones because those are the ones that are actually stabbing you in the side. It's not us. And when you see a Mayor Johnson or Governor Pritzker or all the rest standing up, stand with them, particularly on this issue right now. All right, let's take a quick break. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT AM 820 in Chicago and WARR 1520 AM at 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu. We'll be right back.
This is a WCPT Veteran Minute. When Pearl Harbor was attacked, men of all races across the country volunteered to join the fight, despite the United States Army being heavily segregated. Black enlistees were mostly assigned to combat support roles. But this did not stop Lieutenant Colonel Paul L. Bates, who knew of the racism and pushed his soldiers to achieve excellence. The 761st Tank Battalion was formed in the spring of 1942. It contained 30 black officers, 6 white officers, and 676 enlisted men. The unit donned the nickname the Black Panthers, wearing patches on their uniforms with a panther on it and the slogan, "Come Out Fighting." And in 1944, the 761st was assigned to General George Patton's Third Army in France. General Patton gave a colorful speech to his crew, and the Black Panthers became the first African-American tank squad in World War II. And by the end of the war, the Black Panthers had fought further east than every other United States unit, receiving 391 decorations for their heroism.
You've still got it, but your immune system weakens as you age, making it hard to fight the flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Sponsored by Pfizer.
AP News, I'm Marcela Sanchez. Some FEMA employees have been put on leave. AP correspondent Mike Hempen reports.
Documents show some Federal Emergency Management Agency employees who signed a dissent letter earlier this week are now on administrative leave. More than 180 current and former FEMA employees signed the letter on Monday, critiquing recent cuts to agency staff and programs and warning that FEMA's capacity to respond to major disasters is dangerously diminished. The letter was sent to the FEMA Review Council in Congress. 35 employees signed their names, while 141 signed anonymously. The Associated Press has confirmed that at least 2 employees received notices Tuesday evening, informing them they would be placed on leave indefinitely with pay. It's unclear what the status is for the other employees. The notice said the leave is not a disciplinary action and is not intended to be punitive. I'm Mike Hempen.
As armed National Guard troops patrol the nation's capital, 53% of U.S. adults say they approve of President Trump's handling of crime. This is according to a new survey from the Associated Press Nork Center for Public Affairs. But the poll did show there is less public support for federal takeovers of local police. And a 50% tariff on Indian products goes into effect today. And Federal Reserve Governor Lisa Cook says she'll sue Trump to keep her job. Earlier this week, Trump said he was removing Cook because of allegations that she committed mortgage fraud. Here's the president at a cabinet meeting.
But no, she seems to have had an infraction, and she can't have an infraction, especially that infraction, because she's in charge of, if you think about it, mortgages, and we need people that are 100% above board, and it doesn't seem like she was. Yep.
More information at apnews.com. AP correspondent Ed Donahue reports on a warning about Social Security data.
A whistleblower says 300 million people's Social Security data is at risk. Charles Borges, who worked as the chief data officer at the Social Security Administration, says officials at the Department of Government Efficiency uploaded sensitive information to a cloud account not subject to oversight. The Government Accountability Project says if bad actors gain access, it could lead to widespread identity theft. Vital health care and food benefits may be lost. and the government may be responsible for reissuing every American a new Social Security number at great cost. The Social Security Administration says in a statement it takes whistleblower complaints seriously, but seemed to downplay Borges' accusations. The agency wrote they are not aware of any compromise to this environment. Ed Donahue, Washington.
And I'm Marcela Sanchez, AP News.
This is 8:20 a.m. WCPT Willow Springs and streaming worldwide at WCPT820.com. We are Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter. Now, your WCPT 820 weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. We'll see increasing cloud cover here for today with a high in the upper 70s. West winds around 5 to 10 miles per hour, gusting as high as 15. Then for tonight, a slight chance for some showers and thunderstorms here late. Mostly cloudy skies with a low near 61. By Thursday, a slight chance for showers and thunderstorms. Mostly cloudy skies, high 77 degrees. That's your latest Chicago weather update.
Currently, it's 57.
That's the sound of the ComEd Energy Efficiency Program, saving you money and energy. With rebates on Energy Star appliances, so you can come back to a home full of savings. Discover more ways to save at ComEd.com/home savings. ComEd, powering lives.
Chicago's progressive talk, WCPT 820, where facts matter.
This is Chew's Views with Richard Chew.
All right, guys, we're back. I want to give a shout out to Beth in Michigan, who is sending me some very great perspectives. I guess that's the best way I'll put it. In terms of the migration of folks who are homeless or with income challenges and employment challenges, or in many cases are moving to blue states to find opportunity. So there's a lot of value in that. Thanks, Beth. I wanted to give you a little shout out. All right. I'm always respectful of the time of the guest who happened to land their plane with us. How about that for an intro? To the greats, Amy McGrath. Good morning, Amy, and welcome back to Choose Views.
Good morning. Great to be with you.
You like how I did that, huh? Landing their plane?
That's awesome.
So here's a silly question, but we'll have fun with this to get out of the gate because I know you got a busy morning, so we'll keep it tight. But do you still fly? I mean, like, I'm going to just go get in a propeller plane. And that's a nerdy question, but it's one that was on my brain. I was like, I got to ask Amy that question. Do you still say,
It's actually a good question. So my husband, who is also a 20-year Navy veteran and pilot, I was a Marine Corps veteran and pilot. He is a corporate pilot, so he does fly on a regular basis. I do not. The last time I flew was actually during my Senate campaign, where I had, an aircraft that I flew around the state in order to get around and meet people. And that was just a small prop. But, boy, it was a lot of fun. And I tell my kids, because we have 3 kids, and they say, Mom and Dad, you guys are both military pilots. Like, how come we don't have a plane? And I say to them, I said, well, you know where my plane is? It's in you, Theodore, and George, and Eleanor.
There you go.
You guys are our plane.
Yeah, it's like, Mom, Dad, how come y'all don't have like out back? Why don't we have a plane out where we just hop on and fly? That is
like all those funds, those resources that would go into a plane. Guess what?
They're right there in front of you with that iPad and that laptop and the technologies and the learning and the love and all that. So
that's right, and hopefully college someday. And,
that's right. Well, they're going to get scholarships. I'm sure that they are smart kids and that they listen to Mom and Dad and all the other folks that are around them.
Yeah, it's funny.
I'm optimistic always about our children. We've got some great people here in Chicago that are leading the way in that conversation. So I know that you and your hubs are doing that. So, Amy, listen, you've got this great podcast. And by the way, thanks for having me on Truth in a Barrel a couple weeks ago. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was awesome.
That was just tons of fun. And a lot of people were like, man, you guys were funny. I went, well, that's, Amy's got a great sense of humor. She's got a wicked kind of, sense of humor. So, it was easy to roll with you that day and have some fun. So thanks for having me on. And you guys need to check out Truth in the Barrel. She hosts with Denver Riggleman. And it's just a really great podcast. You've had some super folks on recently. I think you had Amy, not Amy, but Miss Richardson.
Heather Cox Richardson.
Yes.
Yeah.
How did that go? That was a great. I mean, I know how when I listened, but what was that like?
It was great. First of all, she's like so impressive, intelligent. Imagine having just all of that history in your mind.
Mm-hmm.
Most of us can kind of recall a few things here and there, but she has got it.
Yep.
And it's an amazing connection with what is happening today. I encourage everybody to follow her. And if, you're interested, check out Tooth in the Barrel, because we had a great interview with her. She's a PhD historian.
Yeah. A brain that you just go, oh my gosh. And so it's those moments when someone like that is talking with you or listening with you, whether it be on a show or regular conversation, you just kind of put your pencil down and listen, because they have so much to say, and it's always great to be in an environment like that. So great interview, great segment. That was really fantastic. So I just wanted to give you a shout out on that.
Awesome.
So Amy, you posted something, and I responded. We hit each other back a little bit, this is a situation with the red carpet being laid out for Putin a week and a half ago. And, I'll just tell you guys, Amy's comment was, this makes me want to puke. And it hurt, for me, Richard, it hurt my heart to see that. And I asked myself, what was it like? What was going through their minds as they were doing this? Did they just shut off that part of their brain to say, this is part of the job, we got to do the work, and I'll deal with my emotions about this later? But, and I know that you can't get into the minds of those airmen and women who were there, but I do want to give you some time to talk about how that impacted you, and I'm sure our listeners will want to know that.
Well, first of all, the picture was the picture of the soldiers and airmen on their knees rolling out the red carpet for Vladimir Putin when he arrived a couple of weeks ago in Alaska. And it did make me sick for lots of reasons. One, and you asked about this when it had to do with the minds of the folks who were actually out there doing it. They're soldiers. They're out there just doing their job. Somebody told them, go fix this, go do it, and they follow orders, and I'm not sure that they were thinking sort of higher than, hey, I just need to get this job done. And that's fine. I mean, they're serving their country. They're doing what they're supposed to do. The problem was in the leadership. Nobody should be rolling out the red carpet for him. If you're going to do that, you don't have soldiers and airmen of our United States military doing it. Yep. Even if you're on a base, you find another way to do it. I mean, it's the optics there that just make us all sick, because it's like, this is a man who is a war criminal. This is a man who is not even welcome in hundreds of countries around the world. He'd be arrested if he went to those countries. He is bombing women and children and hospitals and civilians in Ukraine on a daily basis. And our president just gave him a huge gift and handing out a high-profile face-to-face meeting in the United States without any concessions. And he had our military roll out the red carpet for him. I mean, to me, it was disgusting. And then they also had a flyby, which costs millions of dollars. And usually, I've done flybys. They're celebrations. They're for things that are, you celebrate. And here we did a flyby for Vladimir Putin. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Where are we at?
Yeah, I know. When I saw your post was the first one that I saw from someone that has served and has the credibility that you have to speak on this, and in terms of the leadership, because you were and are a leader, but so you had to navigate the delicate balance between working with non-officers, those that are enlisted, and then those who are your senior officers. So you understand how to navigate that, and it's a delicate balance. I watched my brother-in-law and sister both do it in their careers, and then to see that leadership fail. Thank you for clearing that up. And
all the way up the chain of command. Somebody somewhere should have said, with stars or birds on their collar, should have said, no. You want to roll out the red carpet? All right. How about you have Trump's people do that?
Bingo. Yes. Somebody from the administration.
Somebody wearing the red hat that says, I'm Trump's great on everything. How about you have them roll out the red carpet for Vladimir?
Yeah. And that so when I saw your post, you probably saw my reply. It was immediately yes. Kudos to Amy for posting that, because it did make so many people sick and just sad for the folks who had to do it, but also recognizing that the leadership failed. And the visual part that really got to me was seeing our folk bend and being put in a position because of lack of leadership, which is sort of a representation of where the country is. We lack leadership right now, particularly from this current administration. So thank you for reminding us of that and remembering what that's supposed to look like. So, National Guard, and
yeah,
I could go down a bunch of different paths on this, but National Guard in the city of Chicago, D.C., L.A., or any metropolitan area, any community, signs a national disaster, whether it be weather-related or health-related or some other form of external attack, if you will. Where do you sit on this in this conversation? I don't want to make any assumptions.
There's a couple of really important points here. First one is we all want to tackle crime. We all want to hold criminals accountable. That's one of the most important things that we can invest in is better policing with police departments. Okay, and those need to be funded. So let me get that out of the way. But one, there is no emergency that warrants these deployments of federal troops, our military in our cities. This is a misuse of our military. We do not need to be having our United States soldiers, our United States military patrolling our streets like we're some martial law police state in a third world country. It's just not what Americans want. It's not in our history. It's never been in our history. We actually fought a war against tyrants that wanted to use soldiers on our land. It's not who we are. And then the other piece of this is that there's a time and a place where within the law you can do this if the local officials want you to. In other words, if there's an emergency, doing this against the wishes of elected officials. These people are elected officials. They're mayors, governors in those states and cities is absolutely wrong. And the third piece of this is this whole idea of being tough on crime because of this is a complete myth. It is a myth. Remember, the president himself pardoned 1,500, not 5, not 50, 1,500 convicted criminals who ransacked our Capitol on January 6th. And that included men who used bear spray and bats and batons and poles to attack police officers. Okay? This is a man, our president, who's been charged with 88 different counts of crimes, convicted of 34 felonies. So I can go on and on and on. These guys are not tough on crime. This is for political reasons, and our military should not be used in this manner.
I wanted to give you, first of all, thank you for being with us this morning. We'll talk a little bit more, but I wanted to have you on today because of the last 5 minutes of what you just said, being with the background that you have, Amy. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT, AM 820 in Chicago, WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu. We're talking with Amy McGrath. She is a co-host of Truth in the Barrel podcast, along with Denver Riggleman. but she's also one of our war heroes. She's one of our American heroes, and I don't take that lightly. And I'm not one to run around saying thank you for your service to a lot of service men and women. My brother-in-law and sister oftentimes say there's more to it than just saying those words. What I thank you for, Amy, is your ongoing sort of cogency, I make up a word, of being able to look at issues that are facing all of us in the country, whether we be black, white, Hispanic, Asian, Mexican, Latino, Muslim, Jewish, whatever, that face all of us, and that a lack of leadership will make them worse. By comparison, strong leadership and better ideas makes them better. I say that we've got a great bench. We've got so many strong leaders right now, and they are delivering in the best of the best they can in situations where, in some cases, their hands are kind of tied. Federally, we don't have the numbers in terms of the House and the Senate.
Right.
But on a state level, we're seeing some really good things happen in some of these special elections. In areas that we, quote, are not supposed to win or be even competitive, and it's happening. And we're also seeing people like the Brandon Johnsons in Chicago and the Brandon Scotts in Baltimore and the Kathy Hochul's and the list goes on of elected officials who are kind of holding the line right now.
Mm-hmm.
And
pushing back.
And pushing back. So what are some of your observations when in this time where federally some of our leaders' hands are tied, but on a local level, on a state level, we're seeing some different activity?
Well, as you mentioned, leadership matters. And I think the country is hungry for people who are real leaders right now, who can stand up in whatever way they can. And we're seeing institutions buckle. We're seeing private industry, law firms buckle, universities buckle. The military is not, we would like for certain people to stand up in certain ways, and some of that's not happening. And so there's all this sort of feeling of like, gosh, who's going to lead this fight? And the reality is it is all of us. Mm-hmm. But there are certain people, you mentioned a few names, some governors, some mayors who are saying enough is enough. I'm not going to wait for Donald Trump to come in here. I'm going to preemptively, like Governor Wes Moore in Maryland, I'm going to preemptively say, no, you're not getting this guard. You're not sending troops to Baltimore. I'm going to make sure that you don't. And look, he may lose that battle because the federal government does have powers to do some of these things, but at least they're trying. Mm-hmm. And people see that. And we know in the case of the National Guard deployments, I hear this a lot from neighbors, where some people say, well, isn't he trying to tackle crime? Isn't that a good thing? And here's the thing. Yeah, we all want to tackle crime, but here's how we know this is political. The number one and number two cities with the highest violent crime rates in the country are like St. Louis, New Orleans, Memphis. He's not sending forces there. Nope. The crime data in places like Washington, D.C. hit a 30-year low last year. The states with the highest crime rates are like Louisiana, Arkansas, South Carolina, but he's not sending forces there. The average murder rate is higher in Trump voting states than in blue states. And so we know this is political. He said it out loud. And so that is something we need to stand up, and you have to have political leaders stand up to counter that. That's what we elect them for, not just to be the leaders of that particular seat or mm-hmm. city, but also be the political leaders that we need right now and stand up for other cities.
Yeah.
And other states.
That's the thing that I am seeing from those, there's so many. I actually sometimes, Amy, will go, I can't even remember everybody that's standing up that are our elected officials, whether it be local, state, or federal, because we do have a bigger bench than we get credit for. Now, that doesn't mean we get to sit back on our laurels or rest on our laurels, as it were, and not keep pushing them to do even more and do better. But it is a team effort. And I appreciate the way and the impassioned way you said that people are looking for it. They know that we need it. American citizens are craving it right now. And so I want to ask you another question about something that oftentimes I think gets overlooked. And maybe I know you have a take on this. We've got challenges. We got stuff that we got to get done. We got to push back 24/7. We don't have the luxury, as I say oftentimes, to not. But I'm not one to go after my own people, my own team, my own leaders, without having an objective to moving the ball forward. And I want to get your take on this in terms of people who are consistently going after Democratic leaders to saying that the Democrats aren't, you know what, there's a 4-letter word that I won't use.
Yeah.
Rather than, and I'm not trying to preload the question for you, but rather than saying, let's take what we've got, make it better, and get the job done.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I am, and I'm actually I fall in your camp here because it's really easy, and I get asked this a lot in different interviews and stuff. Where do you fault Dems? Where are Dems going wrong? And all this, and I'm tired of it too. It's very hard for me, and this is just a personal thing. It's very hard for me as somebody who ran 2 really hard races and was a candidate to sometimes listen to pundits, shall we say, who want to then tell me, how it didn't, how my message wasn't good enough or whatever. I mean, okay, thank you very much. How about you come to Kentucky and run against Mitch McConnell? I just feel like we need to help each other as much as possible. So when I look at Dems around the country, whether it's Governor Newsom or Pritzker or Wes Moore or mayors around the country, I'm just like, every time one of them stands up, I'm just, thank you. Mm-hmm. Thank you. Mm-hmm. And, I don't want to presume to know, I'm just thankful.
Yeah.
Because we have to have that.
And I think sometimes, Amy,
the other side is so bad.
Yeah. And we got to stop, inflicting our own wounds about how bad we are. We don't get enough done or what's wrong with our, because part of what I've been warning folks of, all of us, me included, is that the messaging, the sound bites, the characterizations that are out there about us aren't necessarily, the origin of them is not necessarily us. It's coming from those who are our detractors, and they want us to trash talk each other.
Oh yeah.
And then that gets us away from the conversation that needs to be at hand. Does that make sense?
Oh, totally. And it's a very known tactic on the other side. They love nothing more than to break out the popcorn and watch the Democrats go after other Democrats. There's no question about that. But the starkness in the differences in the parties right now are just so enormous.
Yeah.
I mean, it's only Democrats that are the party of our Constitution and our democracy. And that, to me, has always been the most important thing. I mean, we can have arguments about student loan debt relief or, whatever, your cultural arguments all day long. But the Constitution is what I swore an oath to as a United States Marine. And that is something that, I just see it's being undermined every single day by this president. And with the backing of Republicans. And that, to me, is just that's unforgivable.
Talk about dereliction of duty. I mean, the Republicans have a duty to the Constitution and to the folks that elected them and the country at large. And they are failing in a major way. And that's really where I'm sorry for those who may disagree with Amy and myself on this, but every single person out there should be pushing Republicans to do a better job, pushing Republicans to hold this administration to account, not Democrats. I mean, yeah, we got to do our part. Nobody get their undies in a bundle because I said it that way. We have to do our part. But, and the Republicans are the ones that are truly failing this country right now.
I mean, right now, where are the Republicans in standing up and saying, our military should not be policing our streets?
Yep.
What the heck? How about this 10% takeover of was it Intel?
Right. Oh,
how come that's not like actual communism? How about this idea that, we're going to have an executive order that's going to ban mail-in voting? What are we doing? That's like actually Article 1, Section 4 of the Constitution says that states control the manner of elections. Like where is this Republican Party that is so-called, quote, conservative meaning like we actually follow the Constitution?
Yeah.
Where are they? They're silent.
They're
because
silent.
You know why, Richard? They are afraid of Donald Trump. They are afraid of him. They have no backbone. And that's why. It's only Democrats and some, I mean, very, very few Republicans are willing to stand up.
Yeah, and that needs to be noted more and more because we get so it's spent way too much time talking about how awful Democrats are, and that's just not the conversation we need to be having. And you mentioned this about Intel, and I talked about this a little bit earlier. That now they're looking to acquire stakes in Lockheed Martin, a defense contractor. We want the federal government to have a stake in a defense contractor. Meanwhile, which means that there's going to be more money going to that defense contractor rather than going to the cities that need the help as it relates to solving crime. Come on, y'all.
Yeah, it's the opposite of what Republicans used to be for. And so it's just sort of crazy. But there's so much. I mean, we're sort of deluged with it every single day, that unconstitutionality of all of this stuff. But yeah, I agree with you. We need to come together as Democrats, support each other, and continue to stand up for what's right. That's what you got to do.
Amy, I know you have a busy morning. I won't keep you any longer. I could talk to you for hours, and I so appreciate you taking the time to quote unquote land your plane that's in the backyard. The three kids are like, Mom and Dad, where's our plane? But thank you.
Well, I love being on your show. This is awesome, and what a treat.
I agree. How can folks find you, and how can they follow you?
Well, I'm focused on this show called Truth in the Barrel right now, and it's a lot of fun, and that's where they can find me. I'm also on all your social media platforms and all that stuff too. So, AmyMcGrath.com or Truth in the Barrel is really what I'm focused on, and it's a fun show.
Yeah, you've been doing a great job. Fantastic work. Thanks for all you do, and thanks for being with us this morning, Amy. Travel safely. I know you got a busy day, and we'll talk with you soon. Sound good?
Awesome, Richard. Take care.
All right. Bye now. Guys, we're going to take a quick break. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT AM 820 in Chicago, WARR 1520 AM, and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu, and we'll be right back.
Is your upper floor too hot in the summer? Are energy bills climbing with every degree? Green Attic can help. With over 15 years of experience and more than 1,000 five-star reviews, Green Attic is a trusted Chicagoland name for insulation, ventilation, and roofing solutions that improve comfort, energy efficiency, and indoor air quality. They specialize in attic insulation, spray foam, crawl space encapsulation, mold remediation, and solar attic fan installation, all designed to keep your home cooler in the warmer months. Green Attic also offers full-service roofing through Green Attic Roofing, including traditional and solar roofing systems with instant online quotes and long-lasting, eco-friendly materials. Green Attic backs its work with the industry's only 10-year labor warranty, plus lifetime warranties on selected materials. Schedule a free installation consultation at greenattic.com or get an instant roofing quote at greenatticroofing.com. That's greenattic.com and greenatticroofing.com.
Are you 40 years old in great health and want life insurance coverage with no exam and instant coverage options? Big Lou can do that. Are you 50 to 60 with health issues and still want life insurance coverage with no exam needed? Big Lou can do that. Are you on meds for anxiety, sleep apnea, diabetes, or other health glitches and just want the best rate possible without a lot of hassles? Big Lou can do that. To find the most affordable term life coverage options for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-200-1966. Big Lou does term life insurance better than anyone else on the radio, and he may be able to get you $1 million to $4 million of term life coverage with no exam. For the best term life insurance deals in America, call Big Lou at 800-200-1966. 800-200-1966. Remember, Big Lou is like you. Once a week, he can do that too. Call 800-200-1966 or visit biglou.com.
You're listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. We'll see increasing cloud cover here for today with a high in the upper 70s. West winds around 5 to 10 miles per hour, gusting as high as 15. Then for tonight, a slight chance for some showers and thunderstorms here late. Mostly cloudy skies with a low near 61. By Thursday, a slight chance for showers and thunderstorms. Mostly cloudy skies, high 77 degrees. That's your latest Chicago weather update.
Currently, it's 57.
Because facts matter. You're listening to WCPT 820.
You're listening to Choose Views with Richard Chew.
Oh, thanks to all the folks that are sending in some great text messages. And just a real quick, thanks to Mark down in Florida. Thanks to Mike up in Evanston. Thanks to 630 for your. Here's a great suggestion. It was suggested by one of our listeners that if the soldiers do end up being in Chicago or any city, and I'm giving kind of the edited version, don't yell at the soldiers, shake their hands, don't throw rocks, maybe even offer them a slice of pizza, don't bring hate, bring donuts. I can get down with that. I know where you're coming from, 630, and that's actually a very humane way of looking at what they probably themselves don't really want to be having to do. So appreciate you reminding us of that. Let me see what else I can get to real quick. This was great from Cassandra in Oak Park. Henry, check this one out. Taylor and Kelsey are engaged. Now release the Epstein files. Good work, Cassandra. Thank you for that. Let's see who else we got here. Let's see. All right. Okay. All right, guys. Amy McGrath is just fun to have on the show. I mean, just a real cool individual and fun to talk with, and I appreciate her taking some time. And it was a lot of fun to be on her podcast a couple weeks ago, and they're doing a great job there. So we'll have Amy back when she has the time to chat with us, because she brings what Amy brings to the table in the conversation is a number of things: her career and what it represents, a mom, a wife, a daughter, all those things that we all are in some capacity. But her understanding of the rules and the guardrails is just palpable. She gets what should and should not be happening on a state level, on a federal level. She gets that. And she's seen it from a lens that many people who trash talk and sit up in the rafters and keyboard, slam, have no clue about. That's the difference between somebody like an Amy McGrath saying what she said and somebody out there just trash talking. And you could see that the hair on the back of her neck probably stood up when I asked her the question about people, just constantly going after Dems. She does not like that. And I respect her position on what happened with this thing with Putin and rolling out the carpet. She also understands the logistical nightmare of troops on streets in major cities. So kudos to Amy. Follow her, Truth in the Barrel, and her podcast. And speaking of people to follow and people to just give a high five to, it's Wednesday, and because he's a gracious dude, he was able to shift his time a little bit. Kurt Mullett from Hoosier Blue 63 is with us this morning. He moved his time back a little bit because we wanted to get Amy on in the 7 o'clock hour. Kurt, good morning. Welcome to the show, and thank you for being flexible.
Hey, Richard, how are you today? And absolutely no problem.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. I'm doing great.
Hey,
I'm doing great. How are you doing? How are you holding up?
I'm good. I had to put a sweatshirt on this morning, which I'm trying to remember the last time on August 27th I had a sweatshirt on. But hey,
man, I got a long
47 degrees.
I got a little light golf pullover on myself. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
I was telling
crazy.
I think I was telling Matt this on one of the other engineers. I said to him, just couldn't you have just have waited until like September 15th before it dropped like this? But it's supposed to change. I think the weather patterns down south and the storms out east have kind of blocked that warming that we'd get normally this time of year. So there you go.
But I ran into a MAGA friend yesterday, and I had a long sleeve shirt on, and we had a little chat, and I said, man, he says, what's the matter? Are you cold? And I said, I'm freezing. He said, yeah, that global warming thing, right? And I just looked at him, and I thought, okay.
Was he being sarcastic, or did he get it, and he just...
No. He was not being sarcastic. He knows. Don't understand. Yeah, that's the MAGA mind, man.
Man, I'm telling you. Well, I don't know if you had a chance to hear any of the segment with Amy McGrath, but isn't she fantastic?
Absolutely, yeah.
She definitely gets it. So, listen, man, I know you posted a couple really cool things this week, as you always do, and I couldn't play it in its entirety, but I just wanted to chat a little bit about it. Kudos to you for posting what you posted on folks seeking asylum. Not being illegal. If a person is in a country without legal documentation under U.S. and international law, every person has the right to seek asylum. And this right is not dependent on their manner of entry. Thank you for posting that. Talk a little bit about that and what was your motivation behind that reel that you put out this week.
Well, my motivation behind that post and many posts was just to try to get the truth out there and to talk about facts. And, we have a disconnect here with MAGA in our country. And, I mean, that's obvious. It's been that way since, the dude came down the escalator. But they're saying if they're here illegally, they, are criminals. And they don't understand what asylum means and the processes of seeking asylum. That people can actually enter our country without documentation to seek asylum, and they're not illegal. That's a right that we have, to protect people, and it's an international law that a lot of countries, have part of their makeup. I mean, they allow people to seek asylum, and it's not the immigrants' fault that it takes forever to get, the proper paperwork to become legally documented. That's not these people's fault. And if these fools think that, a family will walk hundreds, if not 1,000 miles with everything that they own in a backpack, carrying their children, crossing a river, going through razor blades, and doing whatever they need to get to a country just to have a better life, that these people are criminals, they're idiots. They're fascists and they're racist. I mean, there's no other way to explain it. But people don't understand what seeking asylum means. It's been proven that close to 67 to 70%, the figures are around, and I'm sure they're going to change now since we have, a Heritage Foundation dude in charge of the Bureau of Labor and Statistics. Yeah. But, it's proven that most of the people that they're kidnapping and throwing out of the country are not criminals at all. And they're finding these people by documentation. That's how they're finding them. They're finding them by paperwork. They're going outside of the immigration courts and the immigration offices and getting these people because of the process that they're going through of trying to become legal. So it's mind-boggling. And I always repeat what I say. It's just unbelievable to me that we have a criminal sitting in the White House that talks about getting rid of criminals.
Yeah, the hypocrisy.
It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. But that's what the guy is. The only, I keep every morning hoping that I wake up and I hear the news. Well, okay, hold on a second. Let me clear my throat. Because that's a nice pivot.
and you know where I'm going. But
Yeah.
see, what you guys
he choked on a quarter pounder. I'm hoping that he chokes on a quarter pounder. Okay.
All right, man.
And McFry gets stuck in his throat. Okay. I can say those things. People can,
Well, listen. I can too. Here's the funny part, y'all. For those who don't know, I mean, the behind the scenes sharing that I've said this before that Kurt and I do, and that Karen and I do, and others do that are on the show with some regularity. Me and Michelle and a few others, Mike and Sarah, is that we share articles and different things back and forth in terms of what makes sense to chat with you guys about. And so what got me and Kurt both tickled this morning is Kurt made the comment that he waking up one morning and thinking that this nightmare is all over because the orange one had his fate with he met his maker. Let's put it that way. And I'm being respectful and also careful. But he's met his maker. We're not wishing any harm, but we are saying that every now and again pops in our brain. Now, that being said, the Orange Menace in the White House had the nerve to say that J.B. Pritzker, our governor here in Illinois, and Kurt's one of Kurt's voices that he likes to amplify, says that J.B. Pritzker needs to spend more time in the gym. This is coming from the dude who, by many folks' measure, scientifically and based on the body mass index ratings, some say those are off, but that the one in the White House is morbidly obese. So talk about the pot calling the kettle black, or I'm not going to say what was on my tongue, but the pot calling the kettle black. Kurt's like, Richard, don't say it. Let me say it on my podcast. But man,
text it to me, will you?
But that, again, hypocrisy, absolute hypocrisy. This dude sitting in the White House, getting on his golf cart, but can barely get out of the golf cart and move around without stumbling. Can't walk straight down a red carpet line without walking like a zigzag. And has been it's been determined that he was diagnosed with a circulatory issue. And now we're seeing these pictures. Here's what we do, MAGA. Let's have Donald Trump put both of his hands on a conference table, sleeves up to just above the wrist, and let's have J.B. Pritzker do the same thing. And I have a feeling what we might see or not see is that one person's hands doesn't show any indication that maybe there have been some needles inserted in veins. We're not trash talking the boy's health, but he's the one that went there to say that J.B. Pritzker should spend more time in the gym. What say you, Kurt Mullett?
Well, that's who he is. I mean, he can't say anything nice about anyone. I mean, this is what the guy does. He's spent his entire life tearing other people down, and I mean, he's just one of the the worst. He's absolutely the how can I say, the most unpresidential president we've ever had he has no couth to him. He's just not a good person. He has to do this. He has to, and that's what bullies do, and that's what weak individuals do, and that's what people who are absent of any kind of self-confidence. I mean, that's, I mean, you and I are old enough, and many people out there, you've been around people like this your entire life. When you're around people like this who are constantly just mocking others and tearing down others, it's because they have issues within themselves. They have I'm missing they have insecurities. They have things about themselves that they know are wrong, and so they have to attack other people. But it's just absolutely stupid. What does that have to do with anything? I bet JB could still throw him down, 2 punches, and I bet he could knock him out. I mean. It's just stupid. It's just stupid. But that's who the guy is. That's who he is.
JB needs to spend more time in the gym. That's just too crazy. You are listening to Choose Views. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT AM 820 in Chicago, WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu, and we are talking to none other than Kurt Mullett from Hoosier Blue 63 and about anything and everything. Hey, let me ask you another question, or throw another thing at you as we're kind of getting to the back end of our segment today. When you talk about people just talk about Trump specifically having nothing left or other in his tank other than to trash talk and to be nasty and disgusting toward other people and lie a lot. So the big one, or a big one right now for me, is this whole thing with Governor Wes Moore in Maryland. And on two occasions in the last week, Donald Trump has told a lie about Governor Wes Moore. And Governor Wes Moore wasn't having it. The first one is that he privately or secretly told Donald Trump that he loves him and he's the best president of his lifetime. And the second one is that he's made this reference to, I sent Wes Moore money to fix his bridge. And first of all, it's not his bridge. He's never claimed it as his bridge. It's their bridge. It's our bridge. But both cases are they're not exaggerations. They're lies. And just like the lie he told about black women in Chicago are begging him to come to Chicago and we need you. It's lies, it's deceit, and it's also, to your well-made point, his lacking in areas. So if he doesn't have anything to say, he will trash talk somebody or try to bully somebody. And Wes Moore wasn't having it this past week.
Yeah, I mean, I was glad that he spoke up about it and has said, put the truth out there. Not that it matters to the MAGA world because they're going to believe whatever they want to believe. But I don't know if the guy is just that delusional, if he's losing it that much, if it's cognitive health, or if he just does that because he knows whatever he says, people will believe him. I mean, we still have MAGA who say, yeah, Biden, I made a post about ICE is like Gestapo, and somebody said, oh, you mean like when Biden shut down the country and made everybody stay home? Wait a minute. That was Trump that did that. I mean, that's who these people are. I don't understand if they don't absorb facts, if they deny it. I mean, it's exhausting trying to figure it out. But when he makes a comment that I gave Wes Moore a lot of money to fix his demolished bridge, where does that come from? Does that come from a place of ignorance, stupidity? Are you just, do you know what you're saying? I mean, it's I don't know. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
You used a great word, delusional, and that also. Yeah. I mean, there is, neither of us are clinicians or doctors or therapists in any measure. But the one thing that we have is enough common sense to sit back and assess a situation and go, okay, something's wrong here, and we as grown men should do that. And in this case, delusional is a word that I think is appropriate or certainly applicable because of the manner in which he says some of these things and in the context that he says them about something that factually can be proven out that is opposite of what he's saying. So that's a fancy way of saying he lied. And inside of his
how long ago did you and I think that about him though? I mean, how long have we
been thinking that he's delusional?
Yeah.
Long time.
Yeah, I mean, for years.
Long time, man.
I thought, listen to this guy. It's like, where is this dude coming from? I mean, it's just, it's just like and I know I'm jumping around here a little bit, but it's just like him doing away with the mail-in ballots, okay? People don't understand. They don't look at facts. In 2012, this guy was talking about the same thing when Romney and Obama were running against each other. Mm-hmm. If people would remember, Trump thought about running for the presidency then, but then he didn't do it. But then Romney and Obama. You know what? Trump come out and started to tweet that there was vans pulling up to polling places in Detroit
and
unloading ballots.
That's right.
That's what he tweeted. Okay? What did he tweet in 2020? The same thing.
Yep.
This guy has been doing this for years.
Yep.
I mean, this is who he is. You know, and MAGA.
They're delusional too. Then,
yeah, they are.
Because listen, I mean, we got a dude, Kurt Mullett, in Central Indiana, red as a stoplight, and is immersed inside those people. But I know it's a difference in number and density, but let me tell you, man, there are folks that I encounter. And not to the degree that you do. So I'm respectfully saying that because we've had this conversation before.
Right.
But there are folks that I encounter here in Chicago metropolitan area, that will say, I will hear them, and they'll say something about like I've got a clip that I'll play tomorrow about what a woman encountered from some guys from the suburbs of Chicago, and talking very much about the fact that this is everything that's happening is Biden and Obama's fault. And the reason I introduced that is to go back to what you were saying a moment ago, Biden and Obama's fault. And you look at that and you go, what the heck are you paying attention to? What are you following? Because how could you, as a person that gets up in the morning and puts their clothes on and goes out into the world, how do you even survive being that far off the rails in your thinking? And what's crazy is that there's so much information out there that one could use, or points at places that people could go to get information to kind of vet out this craziness and delusional way of being. But a lot of people are just lazy and they're not doing it, Kurt.
You're right.
It's so
they don't want to.
They don't want to.
This is what they finally have a guy in the White House that is allowing them to be the racist pieces of crap that they are.
Yeah.
And that's what it's all about. I mean, this whole thing that's going on with the military, and I'm sorry, I mean, I don't mean to offend anybody, but anybody who wants our military to be in the streets of our cities needs to check themselves, because they have no idea what they're talking about. They absolutely have no idea what they're talking about. They don't understand the severity of thinking that way, and the end result of what's going to come. I mean, all of this is coming all out of Project 2025.
Yes, it is.
And we can talk about it all we want, but this is about reducing the population to 100 million. This is about stripping away rights from women and taking the black citizens of our country back to the 3/5 compromise and Jim Crow laws. It's about doing away with the LGBTQ community completely. It's about ridding our country of all of the black and brown people and anybody who isn't white. I mean, that's what all of this is about. This is their whole plan. And he's the guy that they used as their tool to implement all of this. And we started off talking about how I wake up in the morning wishing I read a headline that, today's the day, because this will put an end to it. People say, well, J.D. Vance will. Well, J.D. Vance is there. There is no Trump. There is no other. There wasn't another Hitler. There isn't another Trump. Okay, this will slowly go away eventually, or it will die when he's buried, okay? Because there's nobody else that's going to pick up the ball and create the support that he has. J.D. Vance is not Donald Trump, and that's what needs to happen. So I've never been that way before. Never been that way before in my life.
But we've never. But Kurt, here's the thing about that. Let me give you a big high five on something. You've never been that way before because you've never been in an environment or a time of life where you had to be that way before. So one of the things that we get to do in this space is embrace the fact that we have to do things a little bit differently. We have to change, and we have to fight differently because the fight is different than it was. So yeah, you and I haven't woken up in the morning and gone, man, I wish that cheeseburger would get stuck. I wish there'd be a Thelma and Louise moment, or there'd be a oh gosh, I'm drawing a blank on her name now, that choked on the ham sandwich. I apologize, folks. We need, because we never had to think that way. So we're in a different time, and I applaud you for saying it, because we're short on time this morning, as we always are, and we could talk for hours and all that good stuff. Yeah. But no, man, we've never had to be here before. That's why we are here, because this has never been where we were. So.
Right. People need to understand that the military he's using is just like the Gestapo that was used in Nazi Germany. And if they don't understand that, they need to check themselves, and they need to do a little bit of reading, because the Gestapo was used to move on politicians and progressive thinkers and clergy and religious groups and Romanian and Polish and most of all Jews, but homosexuals and that's who the Gestapo targeted.
Yep.
And that's what this military is going to do. They are not going after criminals.
No.
They're assuming anyone who's walking the streets in D.C. that is black or brown or looks different than they do are a criminal, and that is frightening. And anybody who supports it, wow.
Yes, it's time for them to have a Mama Cass moment as well. Kurt Mullett from Hoosier Blue 63. Thanks for being with us this morning, man. Thanks for moving your time back a little bit. Stay safe this week. Glad you're feeling better. And we will talk to you again next Wednesday, okay?
Yeah, you too. Thanks a lot, Richard. Have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye. All right, guys, there it is. We did it again. Kurt Mullett from Hoosier Blue 63. My man is just doing his work and keeping us posted and posting great things on social media. And sorry we couldn't get to your calls today, so make sure you hit us back tomorrow. Your message won't go away. It's still important what you have to say, so give us a holler tomorrow. We'll be taking a lot of calls tomorrow, so just, get yourself ready for that. And thanks to Amy McGrath for being with us. She's phenomenal, and it was great to have her on the show. You guys, it's Wednesday, midweek. Make it a good rest of the week, but guess what? Take a deep breath. Make your life count. We'll see you tomorrow.
Check up on health with Chris Whitting.
People who smoke are finding fewer and fewer places to do it these days. The restrictions are based on concerns about the dangers of secondhand smoke. Dr. David Burns of the American Lung Association.
It's very clear that sustained and long-term exposure to environmental tobacco smoke causes lung cancer and heart disease. In those who've never smoked, it causes irritation in the airways. And in children, it causes respiratory infections and pneumonia. It also increases the likelihood of developing asthma and a problem with your middle ear called glue ear, which can lead to problems with hearing as the child grows. There are also